I care about the environment. I think climate change is real, harmful, and caused by humans, and I desperately want to be part of the solution rather than the problem. So what do I do to make a difference? I change my consumption habits. I buy sustainable fashion whenever I can, whether through brands that I trust or thrifting. I bring my reusable bag and mug wherever I go. I eat vegetarian 2 days a week, I take transit, and I'm even fortunate enough to have access to an electric car. I do all of these things in order to lower my carbon footprint. And if everyone did that, we would solve climate change, right? Well, not exactly. You see, lowering your carbon footprint was actually an idea introduced by BP in the 2000s. In 2004, they came out with a carbon footprint calculator. The calculator helped you measure how much carbon your lifestyle was emitting. And then they ran a series of ads that taught you how to lower your carbon footprint. But that seems counterintuitive. Why would an oil company want you to lower your carbon footprint? Well, the oil industry loves carbon footprint calculators because they ask everything of the consumer and nothing of the corporations. When we use carbon footprint calculators, we get thinking about how we can lower our own emissions. But it doesn't put any blame on corporations. This approach to tackling climate change is known as individualism. When we over-focus on individual actions, we lose sight of wider systemic changes that are needed to tackle climate change. Additionally, when we focus on individualism, we are playing within the confines set by these corporations. As Minates points out, we have a choice between an electric car and a gas car. But what's actually needed to solve climate change is a mass public transit system. Again, you can choose to electrify your whole house, but you have no control over how that electricity is produced as a consumer. So what's the solution here? Do we just call it a day, pack it up, eat all the steak dinners we want, guilt-free? Well, not exactly. You see, even though individualism won't solve climate change, lifestyle choices are still needed to tackle the problem. Take meat, for example. Currently, the demand for meat is so high that the only way we can meet it is through industrial farming. However, if we all ate a little bit less meat, we could produce it in a more sustainable way. So even though our consumption patterns won't solve the problem, they're an important step forward in thinking in an eco-friendly way. But we need something more. We need to act not just as consumers, but as citizens. As a citizen, you have real power about how your electricity gets made. How do we stop acting as consumers and act as citizens in the fight against climate change? Well, in all honesty, I have no idea. I've cared about the environment for as long as I can remember, and I've been trying to live an eco-friendly life, but I've never once got politically active in the fight against climate change. So I've taken it upon myself to figure out how. Hopefully by coming along with me, you can learn something too.
So my search to become politically active in climate change started where most quests start these days, www.google.com. I googled how to get involved in climate change activism. The first non-ad suggestion that came up was a davidsuzuki.org article, Top 10 Things You Can Do About Climate Change. The list was a mixture of lifestyle changes you can make and some political actions, but I was still looking for some more concrete action. So I dug around the website. That's when I came across futuregroundnetwork.org. A tool created by David Suzuki Foundation that helps connect people to climate change groups in their area. All across Canada, there are hundreds of climate change organizations, and the Future Ground Network is a useful tool to help promote your own group and find other ones. Through the website, I was able to find 2 activist groups in my area. The first one was West Coast Climate Action. West Coast Climate Action presented 3 good ways to get involved: action, learning, and solidarity. I decided to check out the Action tab, where I found a series of petitions and MP and MLA letters that I could fill out. Some of the petitions I found on the list were out of date, which is kind of frustrating, but there was still a lot of good things on there. I clicked on "A half-baked plan won't cut it in a climate emergency," which was calling out our government for not meeting their own climate targets that they set. I was frustrated reading about the half-baked plan the BC government had. The article was calling for people to write a letter to their MLA to tell them that this was not acceptable. I wanted to do something, but writing a letter to my MLA seemed like a lot of work. I've never written a letter to my MLA before. It seemed hard and awkward. I didn't know what to say or how I would say it. But then on the left-hand side, I noticed a pre-written letter. I thought, okay, that's good. At least I don't have to write a letter. But I was still worried about figuring out how to send it to my MLA. Beneath the pre-written letter, I noticed a button that read, "Add your voice." At first I was confused. I thought it was too easy. All I needed to do was fill out my name, email, and postal code, and the letter would be sent to my MLA. All my worries about sending a letter vanished in seconds. Over the next few days, I continued looking for other groups to join, sending letters and signing petitions. Eventually, I got a call from someone at Sierra Club. I talked with him about my project and asked him how I could get more involved. He put me onto a couple events in my area that are coming up. I'm looking forward to dragging some of my friends to these events. Just as I was wrapping up production on this video, I went to Car Free Day in New West. They had a TMX Out Now booth. Me and my girlfriend went to check out the booth, and they gave us postcards to sign that they would be mailing to the government. The postcard was calling out Justin Trudeau for going ahead with the TMX pipeline. They also gave us a pamphlet with information about the TMX pipeline. Inside the pamphlet, there was an ad for a protest happening the following Wednesday. So me and my girlfriend decided to go. At first, my girlfriend and I were really nervous to go. When we got there, we had to hype each other up to join the protest. As we approached the table, somebody asked us if we wanted to help out. They gave us a banner and some pamphlets that had information about the TMX and what we can do about it. We were there for about an hour getting people to honk and handing out the pamphlet. I was at the corner of the intersection and could see into people's cars as they were turning right. People would slowly read the sign, smile, and then honk. I really enjoyed being there because it was easy, I got to spread the word about the TMX pipeline, and I felt less alone in my activism. After just 2 weeks of searching, I had joined 2 climate groups, signed 3 petitions, sent 2 letters, and went to 1 protest. Moving past just buying the right products to help fix the climate crisis can seem overwhelming, but it doesn't have to take over your life. It can be something small you do once a week. I'm no climate change activist specialist, but here are 3 things I learned from my journey.
Firstly, it was really easy. I always thought it was going to be really difficult. That's why I never got involved. When I pictured climate change activism, I imagined someone handcuffed to a tree for 40 hours. But in reality, there's a lot of good groups and they're already doing a lot of good stuff. You just need to find one and join them. Secondly, there's a lot of things you can do from the comfort of your own home. At almost every website I visited, they were asking for donations, even if they were small. Donations are a great way to make a concrete action from home. Additionally, there's an endless amount of petitions to sign and letters to write. These things can feel small, but they're really important. Thirdly, something else that held me back for a long time was the social situations. None of my friends or family have ever got politically active in climate change, and so I felt a little awkward. But once I started, I invited them to join me. If you're nervous about joining a group, invite a friend along with you. They can make the whole thing more fun and less intimidating. I know that a lot of people watching this video are like me. They care about climate change, they think it's real and caused by humans, and they desperately want to be part of the solution rather than the problem. So I hope this video inspires you to take some action against climate change beyond just buying the right things. I recommend starting at futuregroundnetwork.org or just Google how to get involved in climate change, and I'm sure you'll be able to find something. Trust me, it's not that difficult, and you can make a real impact. Making the switch from a consumer to a citizen is a lot easier than you might think.